Hey there, this is Jessica from the Literacy Loft, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to share with you some tips on meeting all of your students' needs in writing workshop. So at this point in the school year, if you're teaching in upper elementary, you may be working on test prep, or even at this point in the school year, you might be having difficulty just meeting all of your students' needs, and maybe it's something that you've been struggling with since the beginning of the school year, which is okay. Um, I just want to share with you some resources that are available for you inside the free resource library, and also just explain to you in depth a little bit more about how I use them and why I think they're helpful. So on this side of my screen, I'm showing you the inside the free resource library. So if you have not signed up to get access to the free resource library, it is, like the title says, completely free. And it also has lots of different resources for different subject areas. So I'm just going to go back up real quick and just show you, like, once you get access, you create your own account, and then you have some free resources available for reading, writing, math, science, and then there's some classroom forms and morning work covers. If you have the morning work, it's a way to organize your morning work. So I'm just in the writing section, and I went over to I'm going to show you two different resources that I want to highlight today. But like I said, if you do not have access to the free resource library, there should be a link below this video, or you can go to the top of my website and it will give you there's a link at the top of the website. It just says free resources. So you can click there, make your account, and get access to these. So I just wanted to share with you two resources. One is the Prioritize the Process Conferring checklist. And this one I used, I'm going to scroll up and explain the first part first. So it's in color and black and white, whichever suits your needs. But this resource is just kind of a way to help you prioritize how to help a student or students when you're working in a conference, or if you're working in a small group, one-on-one, to kind of triage, if you will. I'm definitely no medical expert, but it's a way to kind of help you think about, okay, I know that this student needs help in like 10,000 different areas. Where am I going to start? So this is just kind of a cheat sheet to help you figure out, and I'm going to pull this over the screen so we can actually, I'm going to keep all of my messy desktop hidden, so I'll leave it like this. And excuse my puppy, he's like sneezing in the background. I don't know, he's got allergies, the pollen's out. So this sheet is just a way to kind of step it out. How, like, what are you going to focus on first when you sit down with that student? So, or students, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. So definitely, like, focus and organization is the first thing that I would address. If you don't see your student using paragraphs, if you can't even tell like what their writing is like mostly about, I would start there. That's like the most important place to start, is focus and organization. Then, because this kind of goes with focus and organization, I would focus on the beginning and ending, like looking for an obvious lead or introduction, a beginning that gets the reader interested, and then an ending that satisfies the reader. Then transitional words and phrases, like looking to kind of, this is all kind of like surface stuff, I think, like just these are the things that kind of stick out right away. If a writer's not doing these things, it just, nothing else is going to work. Like if your writing is not focused, it's not organized, everything else, that's just going to stand out to the reader, and nothing else is going to be important. You might have this amazing sentence, or like, you know, you've used some amazing craft moves or elaboration strategies, but if your writing's not organized, if it's not focused and clear, it like takes away from everything else. So that's why that is like number one. So then transitional words and phrases kind of connects all those different parts to make it flow better. and then move into like things that are more specific. And so what I try to do, like once we get down in these two sections, so if like for the evidence and details, I broke it apart into narrative and then informative, opinion, and expository. Um, that's because, of course, like evidence and details are going to look different in narrative versus informative, opinion, or expository. Um, and then elaboration, and then craft moves. And I want you to really notice, and there's a lot of different viewpoints with this, but notice that grammar and conventions are last. I think that it's important to keep that at your discretion. I think that grammar and conventions are very important because they can definitely affect how your writing is written. However, I think that there are things that are more of a bigger priority when it comes to writing, and I think that it's important to make sure that their writing is clear. And then the last part of the writing process is editing and going back and doing those tiny edits to like make sure that it's clear. But I think it's really important that our students understand that the hard part is getting the ideas on the paper and organizing them and making your writing clear and making it interesting and really pulling out that creative side, no matter if you're getting ready for a test or whatever. And then the last step is to go back in, polish it up, and make it pretty. So just because it's last doesn't mean that it's not important, but it's if I were conferring with a student, these would be the places that I would work on in conferences, because grammar and conventions, that's something that you can definitely go back in and teach, and you can work, do those whole group mini lessons or pull a small group and focus on specific things. And a lot of times grammar and conventions, it's not just like, for example, did the writer include capital letters, periods, punctuation? They didn't not do that because they didn't know how to do it. They didn't do it just because it wasn't, look at how we text, look at how we write things in social media. It's just not a priority. So we always, it's important to teach them to go back and edit and revise and to go back and add those things in that we don't necessarily think about as we go. So, and also just knowing all writers are different, and knowing that some children, like, they edit as they go, and it's important to also teach that. However, for conferring and small group purposes, these are the places that I would address. I would not spend a conference or a small group focused on grammar and conventions if I know that those students already know how to do them. So that's the purpose of that. Okay, so this is just kind of like a checklist, a cheat sheet you could use. You can like make one for each student. You could put it in a sheet protector and use like an expo marker to check things off for each student. Lots of different ways that you could do that. So the second thing that I want to share, and I'm actually going to go back to just to show you where to find this. So the prioritize the process, that is located, it says prioritize the process, the conferring checklist. The next one that I want to show you is underneath student notes for writing workshop. So this is the writing conference notes, and you just download it here on the right. And so this is actually in a PowerPoint so that it's I always mess up that word, not editable, but editable. So this is actually something that's, the second page is new. If you've been around a while, this has already been inside the, let's scoot this over a little bit. This has been inside the free resource library for a while, but I just added this second page that I wanted to talk about too. So just for the first part, this is just a sheet that I use just to take notes when students are working and writing, and if I want to teach them something specific. So this is editable, you can change all the names. And the second page is what I use to organize small groups. So you can see that each box has something specific that maybe I'm noticing, like a lot of my students, or several, 2 to 3 students, are having difficulty taking their planner to the paragraph. So they can make a plan, but then they have like no idea what to do once they have their boxes and bullets or whatever planner you use. They have no idea how to take that plan and use it to write their draft. So that is such a common thing. You are not alone if you are dealing with that. Or maybe they have difficulty making a plan, or then maybe they have difficulty focusing, like they don't have their writing is not focused, or like it's just kind of a little bit all over the place. So I just went through, and you can definitely use like these. I kind of got a lot more specific so that when I sat down with this group of students, or if like there's only one student, I could sit down with them and I know exactly what I'm going to teach them. What's also huge, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I hear from a lot of teachers, and I've seen it over and over again on the writing survey, is that we don't have time to confer, or we're having difficulty meeting all of our students' needs, or we're having difficulty differentiating with our students, and you are not alone. Writing has definitely taken a back seat when it was actually supposed to get a front seat according to, some of the Common Core policy, but it's actually taken a back seat in terms of time. So we have to get creative and create some time. So what I have found to work really well is to use small groups in writing. So instead of meeting with, for example, Chloe one-on-one for citing the text before I meet with her, I'm going to try to see if I have, at least 2 other students that probably have the same difficulty, or maybe they don't have a difficulty with it, but I know that they would benefit from it. So I know that that I'm getting more bang for my buck. So what I do is, like, you could do this just by observing your students, or maybe you have like a stack of essays sitting on your desk or table, and just, go through them, like what sticks out, like which students have a difficulty focusing on, or have difficulty with their focus and organization in writing. Pull those groups. If it's like half your class, then make it a half the class lesson, and then the other half of your class can be working on something more independent, or maybe they're still working on their essay, but pull that half of a class and reteach that. And then, or maybe it's like only a few students, and then pull them into a small group. But I think using writing in small groups can definitely help us be more strategic with the amount of time that we have. So I just wanted to share this resource with you just to help you kind of organize. It's editable, so not editable, so that you can change to whatever language will work for you, or whatever you're noticing in your classroom. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions on how to use this, or any other support that or topics that you would like me to cover when it comes to writing, I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. And again, you can download these inside the free resource library. And if you don't have access to it, you can should be a link below this video, or you can go to the top of my website, theliteracyloft.com, and click click to get access to those freebies. And I'll talk to you later. Happy Writing Wednesday, and hope you're having a great week.